All right, so you mind if we ask about the contract situation and negotiations? How
No, I don't mind. It is what it is. You want me to answer that one
Yeah, how's
first?
it going?
It's going really good. I keep saying, I think the last couple, 3 weeks, we've said we're real close and we're about ready to finalize it. And I think it's at a point where it's just a case of my representation or my agent talking to Rob and dotting some I's, crossing some T's. I think we're at a point where we can move forward. And just saw Rob, and he's been traveling, and they've been playing message tag. So, I thought it would be done by this week, but it might drag into next week. But I think essentially the terms have been discussed and talked about, and I think we're ready to sign and change some language. So it's just some legal issues on the contract, but in essence, I think we're pretty close to having an agreement.
Has it been frustrating at all for you to have to worry about that while going through fall ball?
No, because like I've said to you, all along, the message was real clear. Rob was going to do his best to make it happen. We, on my side, were doing our best to make it happen. I think it was just some technicalities. It wasn't like I'm holding out for a whole bunch more money or anything like that. It was just ironing out some little details. The fact that the September 10th went by was significant because my contract ran out, but tip my cap to Rob Mullins and the university that they didn't allow a hiccup in the Horton family getting paid like normal. And I've been moving along just like business as usual, with the thought in mind that we were going to get to the end of it, whether it was a September 10th deadline or not. And all along, Rob's been very proactive in trying to make it work, and he's got a tough job. And as one of the articles in the Guard came out recently of holding on to the staff that he has, which we think arguably is one of the better ones in the country in a lot of different sports. And he's doing his job of trying to make sure that the university's not in the red. And so both sides are doing their job. And ultimately, at the end of the day, nobody walks away going, I won that battle, and so it's, I think he's been forthright, and his communication has been perfect all along. It's left me with a feeling like I can be content. I am going to be the baseball coach, and we're going to finalize this new contract. And I'll be very excited when I look at you and say, I'm here for you're stuck with me for another 5 years. So we're almost to that point, and that'll be an exciting day.
Specifically on the field now, obviously the way your season abruptly ended last year, what's been sort of the carryover from the summer, these guys coming back from playing summer leagues into fall ball, and is there that sense of motivation, or is that going to be a motivating factor that you guys talk about going all the way into next season, the way last year ended?
Yeah, I think so. To a man, we still have that picture in our mind, or that feeling that somebody else dogpiled on our own field in a super regional and moved on to the next step. And as good as last year was in a lot of different areas, we put ourselves in position to really finish. However, we didn't. We didn't finish the job in Pac-12 by getting swept by the Beavers, and that's left a taste in our mouth. And hopefully we can remember that if we're in the same position this coming year. And we didn't finish the job in the playoffs to get to the College World Series, and that's only part of the mission to try to win a national championship. The first step is to get to the dance, and then hopefully you can dance once you get there. But as good as it was behaviorally, and you guys heard me talk volumes about last year's group, I think it was a group in my coaching career that probably reached their potential. That's a hard pill for them to swallow and me to swallow. A couple more runs and we go to the College World Series, and anything can happen once you get there. But in a lot of areas, I told you that I told that group that I loved them probably more than any other group that I've ever been around. And so they were national champions in a lot of areas except for on the scoreboard. And so that taste in their mouth to keep them driven, and this isn't a dog day now because it's a beautiful day, but over the winter, and keeping them driving towards, as I've said many times before, the climb up the mountain, a lot of the steps have been taken, but when you get to that peak, it's a lot steeper and a lot more slipperier, and we're experiencing that. The last couple of years, we underachieved in 11. thinking that we had climbed a long way up the mountain and slipped a lot, and then last year we slipped right at the very top of it. So that's what we talked about in our first meeting. I've got a great leadership core of kids back from last year's team that so far in our third week of practice have set a great tone and example for the new guys, and the coaching staff to a man really likes the early returns of the chemistry of this group, and it looks like it might be another special group.
Hey George, today might not be the day to ask, but what about the impact of finally getting your area weatherized? Or
Yeah, we're not using it quite yet. We'll move in sometime in early October, and right now it hasn't been a factor because we still have the same cages that we've had. It's exciting, and again, tip your cap to Rob Mullins, our donors, Pat Kilkenny, Phil Knight, and all the people that contributed to that project. That was something that Coach Horton thought was one of the missing pieces on an already fabulous facility, to have the opportunity to use that in inclement weather. And pretty soon the weather's going to turn here and it'll be more valuable, but we don't have any excuses now. We've got everything that we need to be a nationally prominent baseball program, and it'll be up to us and the players to prove that. So what a great facility that's going to be, and the efforts from the university to make a great park even nicer, is I tip my cap to them.
Is it mostly just the scheduling? You don't have conflicts with Mashofsky, or is this better designed for what you need rather than?
Well, a little both. It's going to have 4 tunnels, and then eventually all the video equipment that'll go with that. What we'll lose, occasionally we'll go in the Mashofsky Center because we can do some defensive things, and it's a bigger footprint, so to speak, so we can do some drills in there that we wouldn't be able to do in our player development area. But the opportunity for our guys to go in there around their class time or their academic schedules and get their extra hitting in or stay later and not worry about what other teams are using the mow is really significant. It's not just a pretty building. There will be a lot of hard work in there. So we've had great success of sharing the Mashofsky Center with all the teams and the scheduling of that. So it hasn't been a problem, but every once in a while, like football needs it for the NFL combines or things like that, the camp opportunities and other things that'll help the community is significant, and lessons and different things like that we can reach out to the Little League organizations and help them develop as baseball players in the wintertime is significant as well.
Did you originally plan to cover the bullpen with that for the project?
Well, it was just like logical. We had hoped to have indoor cages like almost everybody else in the Pac-12 has, and then the fact of that's where it was going to be built, why not cover the bullpen so that we have dirt mounds to throw off instead of porta mounds. And so the architects I thought they did a fabulous job of combining the two projects, and now we've got a covered bullpen that we don't have to go and throw off a portable mound. So it was a great idea by them.
Given the enhanced facilities, the deep run last year, this program's still on its rise, back up from the ashes, so to speak. How much of a difference over the course of this summer and since your run have you noticed from a recruiting standpoint? More people talking about Oregon, knowing about Oregon, that type of thing?
I think right from the inception of the program, thanks to our other sports, specifically Mike Bellotti and Chip Kelly in the football program and the Nike brand, the fact that we made a statement with Pat Kilkenny's participation in the new facility and I guess a name coach from Southern California, we've had a bullseye on our back, so to speak, right from the very first year. So I don't think that's heightened it at all. The recruiting, I think it's just a case of Mark Wazakowski now and Jay Ullman doing the bulk of that in place of Andrew Checketts and Mike Kirby. Right from the very first year, it's been pretty easy to get guys to take a look. I think there's some validation that we were a number 5 national seed, so the words now are becoming actions, but to really be honest with you, we haven't really done anything yet. We finished 3rd in the pack, which is a step forward. We were knocking on the door. We were a number 5 national seed that got some people's attention. We played in a super regional, which is another step forward, but in my history, I like to look at recruits and almost promise them they're going to play in the College World Series. And when I've been able to do that and it's come to fruition, then history tends to repeat itself. So I'd like to have that same kind of continuity that we had at Cal State Fullerton. Easier said than done, that we're going very frequently. 4 out of the last 5 years that I was at Fullerton, we played in the College World Series. There's no reason why that can't happen here. The league certainly is more challenging than the Big West on a weekend to weekend to win those kind of consistent league championships with 4 nationally prominent or national championship coaches in the league and all the great athletes and great programs. It's definitely a steeper peak to get to the top of the league contest, but there's no reason why we can't host every year if we do our job and host regionals and super regionals. So, but the recruiting piece is thanks to a lot of things here at the University of Oregon. Arguably, we've got the most buzz out of any Division I program in the country, and I think that's a collaboration of a lot of people's efforts.
Responsibilities for you and your staff the same as last year, or you shuffle anything at all?
No, and the continuity of that, and where you're more experienced with each other. I love my staff as much as I loved my team last year, and I think we will know more about each other and our roles, and so we have a chance to be even better staff, which could be conducive to a more organized effort on the field as well. That'll be up to the athletes, but it's always good. Like our football program, one of the reasons it's been so operating at the top and so consistent is the head coach's name's changed, but the assistant coaches are the guys that have been around here for a long time, and that's always good for any program when you have that continuity of your staff.
But some of the new kids coming in, got 3 weeks looking at them. What do you see? What do you like?
Well, we like their makeup an awful lot. They seem very responsive. The challenges that we presented to them, they accept and embrace, and the fixes, as we like to say, the things that they need to fix in their academics or off the field or on the field, they've been very responsive to that. So, the big on a baseball program, you're only as good as your pitching, and we're kind of tiptoeing into some of the pitching because some guys threw some innings over the summer. One of the bright freshmen, Cole Irvin, has not thrown competitively yet. Clayton Crum had a little minor medical procedure, and he comes in with high credentials, and he hasn't thrown yet. And then the guys that are coming back from their Tommy John issues are getting, a couple of them are getting ready to throw. So we'll really only know how potentially good we can be once those guys are back on the mound throwing. You find out more about your hitters when you're scrimmaging, and you obviously find out about the most important piece of a baseball team, how good the pitching is going to be. But on paper, I think we got a chance to be much better on the mound, even with the loss of Joey Housey and Alex Goodell. I think we have a chance to have a deeper staff and quality, and hopefully just as successful in the top end of things, or whoever's going to assume Alex's role and Tyler Anderson's role as a Friday night guy becomes a significant piece of the puzzle, and so we'll see who earns that right. And Christian Jones, I guess, was one of the guys that was penciled into that, and we'll see how he bounces back from his surgery. But there's some guys that have impressed us right out of the gate. A JC guy named Kevin Minaris, a middle infielder that's played awfully well. Tyler Baumgartner, another JC guy from Washington, has swung the bat extremely well. Josh Graham, a freshman catcher, we think he's going to be really good. And so we're real excited about the new group and the blend with the old and the new, and it's been pretty exciting so far.
Thanks, sir.
Okay.